Happy Saturday, folks. Usually my favorite day of the week. Usually. All right. I'm exhibiting a tremendous amount of patience in dealing with the project that I started last night. I started it a little bit before last night, but down the scope. We're going to put all these pieces away from the Panzerjäger one right now. This one says BT7 in it. Is that a BT7 track though? I don't think it is. No, I don't know what piece this comes to, but this is not a BT7 track. We'll put you over here by your lonesome. All right, this is the stuff for the M10. I've heard of loose cannons, but this is loose shell casings. All right, that goes with the M10. That is mein Panzerjäger one. Well, we're just going to move it over here because we're going to be building it soon. We're just not going to be building we're not going to be building it right this second. And here's this beautiful thing, which my goal is I want to get that done also this weekend. You know, if I get that done and this one done this weekend, we're good. Not that I'm in a hurry. I want to see what it looks like, and so do several of you. Those are my glasses. Which, by the way, I thought I had damaged my glasses with glue or something, but I guess I had a tiny little film of something on my fingers, and I put it over the lens, and it sure as hell made me think like it was divoted into the clearing, into the coating on the lens. Which, you know, these glasses are relatively old. They're probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. I need a new prescription anyways, but I could use a new prescription. I don't need a new prescription because I pretty much use them here with you guys, and occasionally if my eyes are tired, I'll take them off and watch TV or something with them. But I'm much more at home with contacts. And actually modeling now, I'm just near vision modeling. Mole man modeling. So this is the pre-shading. I don't know. I don't know if pre-shading is the correct term for it. It's not something I've done much of. And the only reason I even did it was because I airbrushed the base color. Because I don't really paint this way. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I like how it looks. It's just, I don't need to reinvent myself and then have a bunch of vehicles that don't go with the ones I just did. Let's take a look at a Soviet tank that's complete. That actually has this color. And one that I did recently. And one that I'm happy with how it turned out. Now these are 1/72nd. And this is 1/76th. So it's going to look a little smaller than it's supposed to be. Now this is a new green. This is a new green that I have not used before. I don't have the box with me, but because it's in the garage, because it stayed in the garage. But this is the 4BO Russian green from AK. This is how it starts. This is also the same one. So this color will end up looking similar to this in tone. But I'm spraying this, and I'm spraying at a really low PSI. Really low PSI, which I'm trying to improve everything I do a little bit. And that's kind of been the next step, is to just spray at a lower PSI. Have confidence in the airbrush. It's not going to jam on you. So I'm like, well, I'm doing that. I might as well make some areas have more paint on them than others, because there's areas that are going to have shadow, and just see what happens. And this is the paint color that supposedly was used from 1941 on. This was a pre-World War II color called Protective. I think it's called 3BAU. I think that's what it is. I actually wanted to use a color called Protective Green, and it was, if you watch my session, it's absolutely trash. It's well, it's not trash. I'm sure the paint is fine. The color is improper. And here's the reason I was talking about it is, if this color turns into this one, lightens up significantly, a fair amount, by the stuff that I do to it. If you start off with a color that is already too light, like way too light, bad things are going to happen. I'm going to be really disappointed. So I tried that on, and I'm like, this doesn't work. This reminded me of the Rosetta green, which is one of the camouflage colors you get for the Germans. It's like a really light green that just doesn't look like it belongs anywhere. I've never seen that on a vehicle. So it's almost like a lime type green, and it looked like that. I'm like, this is not what the back of the package looks like. So, as a matter of fact, while we're talking about that, I want to go out to the garage and make the sound, and I don't want the wife waking up. If we look here at Ammo MiG, Russian colors. Okay, Russian camouflage. I hate spelling camouflage. It's so weird. Okay, this is Mega Hobby site. This is the set that I have. And I want to see the back of it, because it actually shows examples. So here's the greens. And I'm sorry, this is not a very good version of it. But the 4BO is the top one, the top left one. That's the standard green, according to this, that used the whole war. The other two greens towards the bottom, one of them is almost it has a little bit of blue in it. 3BAU, that's this. There's no fucking blue in this at all, okay? I'm not colorblind. I can't hear with a shit, but I am really good with colors and what makes them up. So, I mean, with that said, I don't dislike this color at all. I like it, but it is not an accurate description of what's on here. So it doesn't matter. I tinker with them anyways, and I end up adding other things to it, but it's just weird. So I was looking for the back of this package. If you look at the back of this package, there's actually a BT7 painted in protective green. I'm like, oh, let's do that. And what exactly is this called? Soviet Camouflages. Sorry, I sometimes put Russian instead of Soviet. Same thing. You know, I only do World War II stuff, so. Are there any Russians that aren't Soviets? They better not, or they get sent to Gulag. Let's see if we can find a picture of the back of this. Would have been easier if I'd have just gone to the fucking garage and gotten the packaging. But if you guys watched yesterday, okay, here's the back of the package. And I think this is important for people to realize that the colors that somebody tells you to use in a package is not the word of God. You still get to decide. It's not like, well, this is what they say. Oh, here's this precipice. Well, they say I can walk across it. You know, it doesn't work that way. So this is the back of that Soviet camouflage. This is a decent looking picture. Okay, look at that fourth tank from the top. That is a BT-7 in protective green. Now, protective green here looks like a full figured green, okay? Not with a lot of olive in it. The 4BO is the olive looking green, and that's this color. This is what this sprayed into. And there's no lighteners. This is just the color on black. So if anything, it should look darker, right? Because I don't prime anything other than black. I never plan on ever priming ever than black with any other than black. That and I'm not playing DVA again. Marcus, you love the smell of Soviet tanks in the morning. Good morning, comrade. So this is the protective green. This is the color I wanted to paint the BT-7, just for variety. I was fine using either one of these two, which are the pre-war greens, just for variety. Okay, I don't dislike this color at all. It turns out beautiful. Okay, but this, look at this color. I ended up going with that one. That has a lot of blue in it. There's a fair amount of blue. That ain't blue at all. You know, I mean, I'm fine with this color, but this is almost like US olive drab. So, anyhow, make your own decisions, folks. Don't go by what the experts say that's in the thing. You're happy with a color? Use a color. Now, do I have one of these Russian green things completed? Or completed-ish? Yeah, okay, so let's look at some, man, I could do a whole episode on freaking Russian green tanks. This is this. This is both ammo, the ammo MiG, 4BO. This is Vallejo Russian green. I like this better. I think this is a better color. Now, if I spray this, I have to thin this. So that's why I haven't done this. And these paints, these AK paints are spectacular when it comes to you don't have to thin them at all. So this is do I have are my two early, I think my two earlier T-34s were not done with AK. I think they were done with Vallejo. Let's see, let's pull these guys out. And this is, you know, after we've weathered them and everything, so you know, you get a more accurate representation. Okay, this is the same green. This is the AK green, and I like these better. I like the Vallejo green better. I mean, if I had to pick one, if somebody, you know, holds a talker up to your forehead and says, there can only be one, I'm like, I'm picking this one. But I can't airbrush this one because then I have to thin it. And I just don't want to, I mean, why thin something if I don't have to? Because when you thin it, it's a chance of making a mess, okay? Because I've gotten down to the airbrush, like I'm not making messes at all, right? Thank you. It took forever to proceed off of that. But And when you thin it, you don't want to thin it in the cup. So if you're not thinning it in a cup, you're putting it somewhere else, and that somewhere else ends up, when you get it to the right consistency, some of the paint gets lost on that cup or whatever it is that you use to thin it on. So it just seems wasteful, and multiple steps, and and I'm doing it out there where I have a lot more space here than in the garage. So but I'm fine with these things serving together, but this is like, that's not blue green. Now, I don't dislike the color at all. Okay? I think it's appropriate, but it doesn't match the back of that at all by any stretch of the imagination. So, trust yourself, folks. Now, Vallejo has two Russian greens. They have one that's called Russian green, and then they have the replacement for it that's called something other. I believe they're both 894 is their code, and they're different. The first one's greener, the other one's more, the replacement's more olive. So, at the end of the day, because I do the same method for all of these, where I give them a brown wash, which is what we're going to do with these two, okay? I didn't want to do that last night. First of all, it was too late. And second of all, I want this paint set on pretty well. We're going to do that, and we're going to let them set. Now, I discovered something I absolutely hate about these 3D printed vehicles. And I don't know if you guys would guess it, so I'm not going to let you guess. But there's something I hate about these 3D printed vehicles. And I'm really going to dislike it about that one. About the Panzerjäger. And that is, these things are so fucking good and crisp that I'm on edge is probably the wrong term, but I am like being really careful how I paint these, because they deserve my very best. And I don't just got to, when you paint something that's a piece of shit, you're like, all right, well, whatever I do to it is going to be a huge improvement. And I'm not saying that I don't trust my abilities, but there's something in the, there's this thing that I talk about all the time called analysis paralysis with, you get painter's block. We all have it. You're wondering like, oh, I wonder how this is going to turn out. Just fucking paint it, man, and move on, We all have it. And there's nothing to be worried about. I mean, I've painted tens of thousands of things. How then I washed on BT7. No, this is exactly how they came. Pretty fucking amazing, isn't it? But I also, because these are so good, I'm like, let's try making some of these things pop a little more while we're at it. I mean, I'm getting a lot better with the airbrush, which, I could have only improved. The trigger control. That's the reason I did this. I did it to kind of practice trigger control. Dark tone. No, dark tone is the black. Let's put it up here. It's strong tone. Strong tone. All right, let's. So I just feel like this. I want to take this seriously. So that's good. Maybe in a way these 3D prints are making me. They're purposefully making me have to paint better. I don't have to. I just choose to. Now, let's see if we can find a brush. It's unfair. Let's see how close it is to the olive drab. No, it's a lot greener than the olive drab. But if you compare this BT7 let's see if I can get a good representative photograph of these two. To this Sherman. Should I even waste my time at all on the Sherman? I don't think so. I don't think this Sherman is worth putting fucking decals on it. It's trash. It's got bubbles in places it shouldn't have bubbles. You know, maybe if this was like on the base of Vesuvius and there was like, and something happened, but you know. Anyhow. All right. We're on a quest for the brush. All right. It's over here, isn't it? This one we use for dry brushing. I want to get a... I think this one should be fine. I don't want to get one that's too small. Now, a container. We could probably use, there's nothing wet on here. Let's use the top of this. We don't need a whole lot of it. But these are, there's no model kit that has this kind of detail. This has better detail than many 1/35th scale models. This T60 has better detail than the 1/35th T60 that I built. I don't know who it was made. It was made in Russia somewhere because I got it right after the Soviet Union fell. Russia, Ukraine, one of those, Belarus. It was made in one of those. All right, let's go over this one. This is the traditional Russian color. And where's my little clippy? Here we go. And the barrel, by the way, bent back with hot water just fine. I was super careful with that. I nuked a little bit for like 30 seconds. Is this hot enough? Maybe. All right, dip the front of it in for a little while. Bring it out. Try to bend it a little bit. See if it bent. No. All right. Put it in. Cool it down with some other water. It took about 5 minutes. But we got it to work. It's still bent a little bit down, but all right. Definitely a one-man turret. Definitely. What is it? I think, is it a 3-man tank or is it a 2-man tank? You know, if it's a three-man tank, somebody's sitting on somebody's lap. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There's a time and place for that. You got to kill some fascists first before you earn yourself a lap dance. Only reason I call them fascists, that's what the Russians would call them, but not quite an accurate representative of Nazi ideology. We got to do this a little bit different. These things are a lot more delicate than many plastic models. Not all plastic models, than many plastic models. So I don't want to be, you know, showing off my wrist strength while I'm putting this on. Yeah, the paint session last night was damn near 3 hours. And all I did was prime a few vehicles and airbrush the color on two. But we had a good time. I mean, I had a good time. You know, if I don't do that, I'll get sidetracked on something else and I won't finish the project. I've just gotten really dependent on just doing stuff live because it forces me to stay on track. Yeah, this actually makes some of those colors stand out better. I wish it wasn't glossy because that kind of it fooling your eye, but so while I'm waiting for my car to be serviced this morning, my goal is to have a BT7 and a T60 picked out on how I want to finish them because it's pretty likely these will be done today. You know, and I don't want to get into like adding that paste mud into the running gear. I don't think I don't think I'm ready for that. Maybe if I do a lot of snow vehicles, I think it needs that more than anything else. But you know, these vehicles are just in a dusty environment. If there is anything like that, it's going to be, you know, it's going to dry off and flake off more. So, but you can tell I've really slowed down this because we don't want to rush these guys. And it's funny in some ways these are less expensive than the other ones. And I don't mind building I don't mind building the models at all. I'm not one of those I want a 3D printers. I don't want to build. I don't mind building the models. Okay, I think Mr. T60 is good. You know, somebody said, hey, you should do a video on how to paint vehicles. I don't want to. First of all, I can't do it. I can't do it live and then take the clippings of it and then splice it together. And second of all, if I make a video for somebody else and not enough people watch it, it kind of irks me, you know? I'm glad I'm able to talk while hobbying. Easier to listen to and type every so often. Yeah, well, I mean, I got used to. I'm a terrible multitasker. I really suck at it. But I embrace the suck. Yeah, I embrace the fact that that I'm not good at it. I don't want to be good at it. I don't mind hopping around, but I'm okay being shitty at things. I'm really shitty writing and doing anything with my left hand that requires precision. And I'm okay with that. My right hand makes up for it sometimes. Where is this? But a lot of people just, you can't multitask. Well, you can't fucking either because you'll make mistakes. If you're making mistakes 10% of the time while you're multitasking, you can't multitask either. If 10% of the stuff that you do is wrong, that's a lot of stuff you got to go back and fix. I mean, I deal with a lot of meticulous stuff on a daily basis. Basic things, but just, you have to pay attention to. I make mistakes even with doing it. Yes, I don't know how to speak, but I've been doing it a while. Let's just temporarily use, what can we use? I don't want to spend an inordinate amount of time. I should, you know what? I drink enough of this shit. I should keep a couple of these. I'm going to start pouring my sodas into this glass. I drink less. And this thing keeps it nice and cool. I actually encountered somebody at work yesterday. Actually, I didn't encounter them, but I'll get to that point. Somebody asked me about something, and I said, yeah, well, so-and-so was going to come back and tell you, but they're scared of you. And I got this, my soul was filled with happiness. It's not that I want to scare anybody at work, but I get pulled into there's a lot of people that I deal with that they have brain atrophy. They never use their fucking brain for anything. And I feel like I got to think for them too. And man, I got enough on my plate. So when somebody tells me they're scared and doesn't want to come to me for something, that's like one less asshole I don't have to deal with. Just like fucking think, man. It's empowering to think. Must be that stupid herb everybody's fucking on. I like to think. I'm always thinking. Always. I'm thinking it like, this North Africa thing is going to be something else. I got to pace myself or I'm going to get overwhelmed. I'm not going to get burned out. I'm going to get overwhelmed. So. I can't guarantee that I'll transfer it on a computer, but I will take notes because I'm old school. I like to write things by hand. I don't make any mistakes writing by hand. On a computer, I make mistakes. I'll fumble. I'll put things in the wrong order and then read over my things. And I'm like, damn it, that one letter should be in front of the other letter. I hope I can do this thing justice. I can. I'm just, I'm taking it carefully. And as much as I like Plastic Soldier Company, these like lack detail compared to that. That doesn't mean I won't get these. Like whenever I get honeys, I'm getting the honeys from here because they're just durable as shit. I don't have to worry about anything. So we're not firing the model company stuff. But all that stuff that came broken, which was not much, it was only like three different things. Well, first of all, one of them was a false alarm because it was inside out. So that one doesn't count. But the M10 was cracked and a piece was chipped off and totally repairable. I don't want somebody replacing shit just because things happen. If it works, I can fix it. Let's not use up our miracles on things that we don't need to. Right? We have a limited amount of miracles. Yeah, you want the PSC honey set, but I think Iron Horse just jumped up to my next order. Yeah, you gotta see what it is. You gotta see what it is. So my only concern that I had with him, and it's been quashed, is there's lots of versions of these things, whether you can have the hatch open or hatch closed or this way or the other way. And I'm like, man, I wonder if he's going to. He's like, I can tell you, and he did great. He sent an email saying, here's this line drawing of this vehicle. Do you want open or closed? Do you want this one? And he did a really good job. He did a really, really good job with that. I'm really concerned with emails because sometimes email communication stuff just gets, I personally don't like sending emails that create a bunch of other emails. I like to like agree on something and then, okay, here's the email that illustrates what we agreed on. So nobody's thinking that something happened and not in good faith or. And I'm not dealing with like legal shit and stuff like that. I'm just talking about, just personal honor stuff. Like I told you, this is coming. This is the day it's coming on, and we're going here, and this is the time it's going on. Just for clarity. I love emails for clarity. So I don't like emails that obfuscate stuff. That's my big word that I seem to be using all the time. There's a lot of obfuscation these days. There is. There's a lot of people out there. I guess I'm just naive. Or, I'm just from a different time period in time. Or maybe this stuff is always going around and I'm just naive. I'm just a child playing with World War II tanks and then I get out in the real world Monday through Friday and I'm surprised that everybody acts the way that they do when it's just something that just would have never occurred to me to treat people that way. But I don't go and create issues. I don't go and respond to a post on Facebook with nefarious, incorrect information to seem like a smartass. And I guess I'm the exception. There's a lot of wrong shit out there. And I don't have time for it. One of the biggest reasons I don't play DBA is because of that. Is people that would type something, respond to a question, there'd be a legitimate question about how something happens, and somebody who has no experience or is up to making them sound. So I guess people aren't afraid of saying stupid shit and people calling them on them. Like, I don't want to be known. I'd rather be known as the asshole than the person that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. If I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, I shut the hell up. Right? I guess I'm just an exception to the rule. And I get stuff wrong. I don't want to. It's pretty unfulfilling to do shit wrong. I hope I don't hate all my other models because of these. Well, we'll see. Hey, I should just do a shitty job painting with it. I won't have that problem. Yeah, that feels good. But I'm going a lot lighter on this than I ever have. But I also have never appreciated before. But we gotta knock this snow out of the park. And we will. We'll get the snow where we like it. Because I have a feeling that king tiger that I have over there by Eshi, that's going to be like a bulge tiger or a Budapest tiger with some vestiges of snow camouflage under on top of the three color. But we got to master the stuff that just is the snow on top of one color. Let's get the underside of this. This is sometimes showing, and this is easy enough to do. Oh, we got plenty of time. Those lazy bastards at the Subaru dealership don't open until 8. The Toyota used to, when we had a Toyota, used to open at 7. You got to be on the ball, but that 8, that makes a big difference. That means you guys get a show in the morning. And unfortunately, because these are Russian vehicles, the markings are going to have are going to be basic looking, but it's supposed to be that way, you know. Actually, I have one that I saw with a slogan. I may do the slogan. The slogan's kind of up here by the turret at an angle. I'll take a look at that. Maybe I'll do that one. Yeah, let's just move this off to the side. All right. So we'll leave those to percolate. So there's several things about North Africa that I want to do. I want to dissect it, but I'm not interested in really big scenarios or something like that. But just like that situation that I showed you last night about that Panzerjäger 1 and the BT7 and the duel. There's got to be other stuff like that, and I want to pull all those juices of those things out. And then go in, all right, I want to do this scenario. So that's kind of a cool scenario. How would this vehicle have looked like that? What would the numbers have been from it? And just using deductive reasoning and just kind of gut instinct, put all that stuff down together in notes. Like I've talked about this before, that if I was retired and I didn't have anything better to do, I'd probably go through the Panzer Division, and only the Germans, because there's just that much photographic evidence of that stuff for whatever reason. Like I've said before, it's a shame that there's so much Germanic shit, but not so much for other places. But, with the markings of the different units and stuff like that. And what I mean is, not the divisional symbols, but the turret markings. I suspect, from what I've been able to gather, cursory information, that the two Panzer battalions had different numbering styles on their turret numbers. So in other words, you might have the 1st battalion, and we're talking about, the 1941 stuff, not the Poland, not the Poland France stuff. Sorry, I'm not interested in that at this point. But if you're talking about in Russia, you've got a Panzer Division, say Second Panzer Division, the First Battalion and the Second Battalion of the Panzers. First Battalion might have been like solid white numbers, and the Second Battalion would have been hollowed white numbers, so white outlines. I suspect that's the case. I suspect that's the case. It's certainly division wide. There's a trend for certain divisions. Just doing a cursory glance on the Africa Corps and the 15th Panzer Division seems to have had, at least on some of their vehicles, just the company number on their tanks. So if you had, say you wanted to do and I've got the photo, and I want to, like, between the phone, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the phone and take photographs of shit and then put my own little document, not to publish it or anything, just for my own, photographic evidence, just to keep myself on track. But there'd be like, a unit of like the 15th Panzer Division, and it was like Panzer threes, right? And it was the 7th Company. And everyone, they're lined up, and they all have a 7 on them. They all have the identical same 7 on them. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. 5 of them, because German companies don't have more than 5 vehicles in them. So it'd be like 5, 7 vehicles lined up. Even though they're different vehicles, they would have the company in it. Because I've seen that before with one number. What does the number mean? Is it the number within the company? It's like, no, it's usually like the company or the platoon. But I guess with 7, it wouldn't be. You wouldn't have 7 platoons. You'd have 7 companies. But anyways, I suspect the 21st didn't do that. Because there's a lot of German vehicles out there that have, for Africa Corps, that have the black numbers with the white outlines, which is, I could say my favorite, but I guess I like them all. But anyway, so I want to go through there and get all this stuff and get the British stuff while I'm at it too, And by British, I mean Commonwealth. I lump all you guys in the same category. Sorry. You should have worn different hats. I know some of them did, but a lot of the Crusader tanks for Operation Crusaders didn't have any markings on them. They didn't have the Jerboa and stuff on there. So, artistic license, I'm probably not going to paint British tanks and not put the unit, the tank division on them because they're so freaking cool. The armored division on them because the British symbols are just as cool as the Germans, and in many cases, cooler. So, yeah, like the classic Matchbox picture with just a 5. Yeah, so that tank would have, if that's correct, that would have a bunch of 5s in it. Which kind of irks me. But I don't have to build them that way. Like, I could just, they're painted like the 21st Panzer Divisions. Which is a shame, because I like the 15th better than the 21st. Really, you want all your tanks running around with a D on them? Like, you guys didn't do too well. You just barely passed. D. All right. We've got 6:30, 7:30. We got about 30 minutes. Let's mess with these snow vehicles. Oh, so I was talking about snow. I have a sneaky suspicion that, at least for the short term, I'm not going to put the snow vehicles on bases. Because first of all, if I don't do that, I don't have to model any kind of snow. Even though I got a lot of arid looking like tufts that look like they're freaking dead. But I don't want to have to decide on how I want my basing for my snow to look now. Or pick something and then later on I want to modify it. Does that make sense? Because if I have snow vehicles, I'm going to have snow infantry. Anyhow, I got a lot to do, and all we're doing is World War II shit. And that doesn't even touch the Pacific stuff. But the couple Japanese tanks I have left to do, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. But, I want stuff to look this good. I don't want to do these trash models, you know? Because I look at it, I'm like, that doesn't look very good. I said, well, I did the best I could with the freaking shitty models that they were, you know? Oh, that one doesn't have the hatch. Why don't we finish this one? We did black lining on here. Let's paint the wheels and shit on here. Even though we'll end up covering them with fucking mud and everything. This is the brush we've been using for. So I don't mind hopping around, because at the end of the day, I'm doing stuff. Russian with the flowers. I gotta find out a Russian that's gonna fit in the turret of this BT7. I don't think it's this guy. Oh, I can't take him off anymore. I'm gonna have to narrow his waist somehow. These guys eat too much goulash. Num 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 num. I like to eat potato. Oh. So between all of the photo references that I have, and I want to do it on my phone because I can be like, look through Panzer colors and then go through and like, oh, this says it's the 15th Panzer Division. And then there could be things that are wrong. So come in, take a photo of it, trim it, and then I can put that in some kind of a document. I know I'm creating a lot of work for myself. I don't know. Maybe I won't be able to do that because that's going to come out of my painting time. And we can't cut into our painting time too much. But the good news is, you compared right now to 2 years ago when I started this journey, when I got back on this journey, I'm not scared of anything anymore. I'm not scared of buildings. I'm not scared of my fear of the unknown when it comes to things that I may need for World War II has basically disappeared. Because there's so many things that I haven't been able to, I didn't know how to do. I was afraid to maybe it not turn out as well as I wanted to. And I did it anyways, and it's come out great. So it's been really, really empowering for me. A really empowering journey. And honestly, the biggest contributor to that was the bricks. I think the bricks was I think the bricks really kicked it to the next level. Because the bricks allowed me to have a battlefield that looks like the battlefields I see that those damn British people have in their beautiful magazines, and nobody plays games like that in the United States. So that allowed that to kick that to the next level. Those damn Brits. You know what I mean by that. Just that they're lucky to have those kind of shows that could put on, or, in the games. The game might not be worth a damn, but it sure looks good. I see these pictures all the time of these prolifically really good painters in Europe, Britain in particular, but Europe. And they have these beautiful vehicles that I would love to play with. And then they say what set they're playing with, and I'm like, I don't want to play them. I don't want to put that kind of detail, and then you're playing rapid fire. I mean, it's fine if you want to play rapid fire, but man, rapid fire just is very vague. I don't get any World War II excitement from playing rapid fire. So, We are going to do a duel. We are going to do that duel with the BT7 and the Panzerjäger 1. I think that's. God, and I hope the BT7 makes it all the way through and rams it. We get to do ramming. And only have to do two vehicle cards. Good morning, Ben. Pull up a seat and have a. What are those damn Russian roll your own cigarettes called? The Puchna or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the legal stuff. I'm not talking whatever illegal stuff that they roll over there. That side's complete. Flip to the other side. Ben Wadi. I swore you were Middle Eastern, which is, fine. I don't have a problem with that. Like, Ben Wadi, live from the minaret, like a stand up. Are there many people that do our hobby from the Middle East? I don't think so. It's mainly a European thing. Or, it's big in Hong Kong because, Hong Kong was a British colony. But you're only Middle Eastern where it counts. I'm. I think I know what you mean by that, but sounds like my saying that I like to say. I'm Jewish from the waist down. That's good because, if this doesn't work out for me, I can always fall back on porn. No. You need to research wargaming as a hobby in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Want to research Soviet era wargaming since it must be a thing. Yeah. And why don't you do on your thesis why there aren't more women wargamers? The same reason there aren't freaking dudes that are in a needlepoint. I'll be the first to admit I could spend a freaking day in Joanne's Fabrics. And I'm always like, man, these buttons sure would make good shields. I mean, I like that stuff. Actually, last time I went in there, I didn't like the experience, and it wasn't because these old blue-haired ladies were hitting on me. Crusty cougars. It was because I went to the model section, And all they had, you know how you, if you've been to Hobby Lobby here in the States, every Hobby Lobby has exactly the same models. Every single one of them. You know, they don't have anything 1/72nd. They used to. They used to carry the Airfix Sherman. And it's like $10. And it used to be 40% off every other week. So, you know, a Sherman tank model for $6 ain't bad. I didn't buy one because I had plenty of them and it's 1/76 scale. I don't want to volunteer to buy 1/76 scale stuff. It just looks better in 1/72nd to me. Our figures are oversized, so the vehicle should be oversized a little bit. But with that said, I'll use 1/76 scale if I have to, you know. But um, every Hobby Lobby has the same model section, but the models they have aren't terrible. Which, by the way, I went to Hobby Lobby and they had quite a few vehicles that were made that had MPC in the logos, and they must had still had a bunch of leftover boxes because MPC's been gone for decades. But I have fine memories of MPC stuff because that's the stuff that I built when I was a kid. You know, even though it looked like trash back then, or I did a trash job with it. Okay, that's black. All right, we can roll and do the track now. Yeah, we're still good. But I go to Joann's Fabrics and they have a small model section. And they only have one. It's worse. It's worse than Hobby Lobby because they only had one model brand. And it was this brand called Atlantis. And I'm like, where the hell did this Atlantis come from? Like, I mean, Atlantis is a kind of a cool name, right? Like, where's this been forever? And I'm flipping around, like, where's this come from? Made in the USA. I'm like, that's cool. Which probably means it's trash, unfortunately. I don't know how things are that are made in Britain. If you look at something made in Britain, you're like, oh, this isn't very good. But things generally that are made in the United States, frequently, I think they've gotten a little bit better because foreign things have gotten worse. But generally, made in the USA means it's not very good, unfortunately. I meant my ability to race camels. Please have some decorum. You race camels? If I unearth, you know what this channel is about? We go off on tangents. It's all good. The stuff that people talk about nowadays, man, I'm pretty freaking subtle. You guys like this kind of shit. Edgy. This is me being edgy. If I unearth that Asian birds are big into wargaming, I'll have some trips to a nail salon to make. Actually, now I think it's at skills in my line here. Nail artists even use decals. There's a lot of nail artists that how can I say this? My wife doesn't like going to nail salons when it's a dude. There, I said it. You know. And that's very different than saying, you know, men shouldn't be able to paint nails. But it's just kind of weird, you know, like I don't want to get pulled over by a female cop because they never look like the ones in the pictures. A long time ago, I'm like, oh, okay. A long time ago, yeah, 20 years ago, I'm like, oh, let me try painting your nails. Won't do that again. That paint is trash. And those brushes are trash. Go look up on the internet like fights that people that work at nail salons have been having. There's some funny stuff on there. And I'm talking about just, I'm sure there's customers too, but I'm talking about people that are there for, that work there. Got to run early today. I'll check you out, see if you're on later. I will, man. I hope so. I hope I'm on here. Have a good day, man. But there's a lot of people that don't understand our hobby. But that's okay. I don't understand other people's hobbies. Like reenacting, okay? Reenacting is kind of cool, right? Like I think I know a guy whose hobby is to be in plays. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not my jam, mainly because I'm not singing for shit. You ain't paying me to sing and stuff. Sorry. I'm doing you a favor by not singing. And I sing, I suck at singing, but I sing better than some other people. That tells you how bad they are. But it's not something I enjoy. But I think it's pretty cool. I was in a play and, I did plays in high school and I always thought they were cool. I don't want to be an actor or anything. But that's what he does as a hobby. It's a good thing he does it as a hobby because, that's about as hard to make it at as, painting figures for people. You might actually make a better living painting figures for people than, starring in plays and getting paid. But actual reenacting, like, oh, let me dress up in this wool uniform and go stand somewhere in the summer, and like, oh, I gotta make sure I use the right toothbrush, and I'm like, no, I don't want to go back to, I don't want to go back to the '60s, much less the 1560s or worse. And the problem with World War II reenacting is we're all well fed. We're way too well fed. Me too. I'm not picking on anybody. We don't have enough hardship in our life. Thank goodness. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with I don't know what I'm going to do with wheels and tracks. This is uncharted territory, but they're going to be painted. Even if I end up slapping a bunch of like something on it. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is kind of uncharted ground for me. Well, people don't understand our hobby, and nobody wants to talk to each other face to face anymore. You can't get into a conversation on a Facebook site or something like that, and get and sarcasm doesn't come across, or inflection, or how you could. It's kind of like I say this thing. You basically can tell somebody above your pay grade to go screw themselves. You just can't say it that way. Well, you can't do it in writing because it doesn't. There's none of this subtlety type of stuff. Just to use as an example. Um, but people don't want to talk to each other anymore. People want to get in arguments with people they never met, and they're not going to change anybody's opinion, and they just go on and on and on and on and on, and the next thing you know, you're basically, if you want to argue that much, just go get your JD. You know, oh, can't pass your JD? All right, you'll be a keyboard commando. Like I just don't, I don't get that. And there's A lot of people that are that way. A lot of people that are that way. And I'm like, I'm not on a crusade. Um, I'm on my path as I'm figuring it out as I go. And, if you want to go to a different place than where I'm going, that's fine. Have a nice trip. I don't care. I don't feel like I need to save you or convert you to my way of thinking or I got this guy at a war game with, and we went out to lunch, and he was like adamant, like I'm not talking about religion or politics. Well, you know what? Fuck him. We talked about both, and it wasn't a problem. Because I don't feel really strongly about either. You know, who you can't talk to is people that are on a crusade. It's like you talk about war game, but if you're dealing with somebody, it's like if it's not 28 millimeter, it sucks. Well, okay. I can even talk about Warhammer stuff. There's a fair amount of Warhammer stuff that I have a lot of respect for. I don't care about their backstory, and I wish they did business in a different way. But I started with a lot of their products. The Games Workshop stuff. But I don't do well with if you don't use a Game Workshop miniature, you can't play this game. I mean, like, yeah, no. Well, okay. You can do whatever you want. I don't do well with people trying to throw their morality code on me. Like, I don't need to be told what to do. I know how to behave. Yeah, Saturday is always lighter than Sunday, but I'm gonna have to bolt here in about 15 minutes anyway. So it's just a matter of just knocking out what I could knock out. How the hell do you race camels, man? What? What even is that? How do you race camels in How do you race camels in Waddingtonshire? I don't have any camels around there. That's the name of the town that you live in. You didn't know that. Waddingtonshire. Okay, well that looks a lot better. But we're gonna have to do something to the tracks. The normal thing is just to do my normal treatment with the tracks, and then we're gonna have to add some snow, something or another. So, everybody's camel outside of daydreaming. Well, they're cute, but they smell bad, and they're noisy. Okay, I mean, and they got a weird mouth. And by that I mean like an elephant seal. Like an elephant seal is kind of like a huge turd that's kind of cute, but then they got this thing on their face. I'm trying to keep it. What's the word you used? Decorum. A horse. Horses are cute till they smile, and you're like, no, way too gummy, dude. This one guy I know does a better camel voice than a camel. Camel riding? I think you know what I think would be I'd be really good with camels naming them. I think I'd be really good at naming a camel. Like if there was a camel, instead of all those silly horse names that they have, who's on first? What kind of a name is that, or whatever. Silly names they give horses, silly names they give camels. I'm sure they do the same thing. Sure, they give the camels silly names like Uday breaks wind or something like that. Ahmed's accident. You got a lot of Middle Eastern folks where you're at there in Britain? I think it'd be cool to have a really long conversation with some of them. Not to convert them, just to kind of, understanding. Most people are decent no matter where they're from. I shouldn't say that. Let me rewind that. There's decent people from all parts of the world. That's what I wanted to say. There's assholes everywhere. Including here. We don't have to, we don't have to import any. I got a friend of mine I used to work with, and I've told him about my show, and it's not something he's interested in. And I told him, if I did a talk show, I'm getting you on this talk show. I don't have any aspirations of that, but he has a unique take on a lot of things. He's a person of color, and is that the approved way of saying it now? And I've had some really good conversations with him about subject matters that people don't like to talk about, or maybe they get some thin skin, but I think we need to talk to each other, you know? Hold up. Apparently Turkey, they have camel wrestling. Ooh, my money's on the camel. I mean, unless it's camel on camel. Is it camel on camel? If it's camel on camel wrestling, that's not wrestling. I'm trying to have a little bit of decorum. Work with me. Okay, I think I've weathered this. I've worn this snow camouflage enough where I want. What I didn't do on this is actually a black wash. I mean, a brown wash. I didn't do that. However, I'm going to do something I shouldn't do, but I'm going to do it anyways. Let's see what we got here. We have a soft tone, don't we? Yeah. I'm really happy with the way my vehicles turn out, but I can do better. Let's rinse this out. Let me do a very little bit amount of this and see if this is something I want to pursue on these snow vehicles. It's camel on camel, the males duke it out, if there's a female camel around. Is there a way you can tell whether it's a female or a male camel? I mean, at a glance, at a distance. Turkey's an interesting place, isn't it? You got mixtures of. It's modern and then it's not in some other things. And there's a lot of people I've seen. Oh, this person's from Turkey. I'm like, that doesn't look like somebody from Turkey to me. But then you can say the same thing about America. But that's I've mentioned this before. There's this idea, at least I have this fictitious idea that the United States is the only melting pot. I don't know why, I have this idea that, and I was watching some show years ago, and it was a Spanish show, and they talked, and they had the actors, and they all didn't have Spanish names, and I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Because I have this idea as an American that this is the melting pot. And it's like the exception to the rule, but and maybe it's me being a stupid person or a stupid American or both. But that's the perception here. Now, most people would do a much brighter color, but I'm just wondering if I had a little bit of, I'm not going to say rust, okay, but just something. I better be careful. I might really enjoy this. Honestly, with as difficult as the work situation has been lately, and will continue to be, that's really what I need. As I really need this hobby really to make me very happy. Because that's honestly what's getting me by on a daily basis. And I don't know that I would use a color that's more orange than this, because I don't really like really bright orangey shit. I'm 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 really digging this in subtle places, not all over the damn place. You guys can be the judge whether you like it or not, and you can't judge until we've sealed it, because there's going to be a little bit of shine on this. Yeah, I actually like that this null oil products are really kind of thin, because if you want more, you can just add more to it. Dude, I'm really liking this. I'm really liking it. I love that it's all acrylic. I don't have to smell this stinky shit. It has a lot of Islamists, yet it's the most liberal Muslim countries. Very unique setup. Yeah. I'd go there, but I got this. I got a problem. I got a personal problem with my girls aren't going to go to somewhere where they got to wear a veil. I don't care if it's a holy site. We just won't go there. I don't have to disrespect it. Like, here's the rules. Okay, I don't want those rules. I won't go there. We're not veil wearing people, or masks for that matter. Like, nah. I want to see people's faces. What do I got to hide, man? I'm a good individual. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go heavier than that. I think that just having a little bit of this, it's kind of like dry brushing. And I don't think I'm gonna do this on all vehicles. I hope not, because then I got to go back and retouch things. But this is subtle enough. I know we'll call this drippings. Turkey doesn't have any. It is if they wanted to go to if you wanted to go to the Hagia Sophia. Because like a year ago, the mother-in-law was going over there on a cruise, and she says, "I gotta go help me look for a veil or whatever on Amazon." I'm like, "What the hell you need a veil for?" Well, if I gotta go to visit the Hagia Sophia, I'm like, all of a sudden I don't need to go. You know, I'll look at pictures. Oh shit! I have I have tripped over this slippery slope. Well, let's try to keep this to only snow vehicles. Fuck, this looks good. And I like this type of work. I like working with a liner. I like doing this detail work with a liner. It's satisfying. Yes, it's not quick. I don't care. And I really like this that it's thin. And like if you need to put more, put more. Not like, oh shit, I went too far. Fuck, I don't want to go to. I don't want to take my car in, man. I'm on a tear. I am on a fucking tear. And of course, we haven't labeled it. We haven't decaled this yet. We already did the black lining. I'm not done yet, but let me show you this. Now keep in mind it's shiny. And I'm already using a color I have. Which I don't think I'm gonna. This is what I use for the wash for the desert. I don't think I'm gonna do this for the wash for the desert. I think I'm gonna use the regular desert wash color. The regular color for wash for the desert. All right, so water sat there for a little bit, and then it started to drip. Same thing with this hatch. This hatch was all fine. Backstory, backstory of the hatch. You know, I don't have to use these expensive. Let me go find a what do they call them? A filter. Like I don't need to buy more shit, and I really don't want to take this acrylic vehicle and coat it with some kind of a clear coat so that I could do enamels, which are stinky, to seal it again. I'm like, I like to be a little bit more like fluid. Like, okay, like I need to do this next. Okay, do it. It's acrylic. What's the big deal? I don't have a problem with people that do it the other way, but you see, I see some of these modeling techniques, and the first thing I think of is, there's two things I think of is, okay, I don't need my process to take even longer. And the second thing I'm thinking is, you're creating a problem where there isn't one. You're creating a problem where there isn't one. But this is brown. This is not a rusty color. I think a rusty color just looks too out of place for me. As I go to Pussyfoot's Paradise and end up getting some orange. No, I don't think so. Somebody gifted me a set of the Games Workshop. What do you call those things? The inks a long time ago, and I didn't use them. Actually, they had bought them for myself. So like, I don't need these anymore. And I'm like, I found out I didn't need them either. So I don't know what the hell happened to them. But that's too watery to control. This is watery, but it's controllable. Okay, I think that turret is good on that side. Let's do the back. So we have this happy little rust that accumulated here from that rain outside of Smolensk. Okay, and then this looks good. Now I have a feeling this would be an area that could use this. We're not going to go batshit crazy. Not yet. And it's super simple using products I already have. And I don't like doing the chipping, but I do like having a finish on a tank that isn't perfectly the same color. I know some people call that modulation. Ooh, big words. I bet these things are really loud when they close the hatch. Like, the sound of closing the hatch down. Okay. And what's going to really look good on it is this bastard right here. Unfortunately, a lot of these things are kind of miscast. We've got rivets and stuff that are. Yep. Yep. Okay. Well, we got to go get the car, get a blood transfusion on it, and we'll be back at some point to work on the rest of these vehicles. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this stuff. Anyhow, thanks for stopping by, folks. We'll see you guys soon.